Well, the saying, water is life, took on a different meaning in 2022. Extreme weather events of torrential rains and storms caused some of the biggest flooding disasters in Asia. More signs pointing towards a worsening climate crisis. And the impact was particularly severe in vulnerable communities, where often access to support systems is limited. Insight coming up, but first here's the state of play in 60 seconds.
Trails of devastation across the Asia-Pacific, lives and livelihoods destroyed by flash floods during the harvest season in Afghanistan, a nation already battling a humanitarian crisis. In northeast India and Bangladesh, unprecedented pre-monsoon rains engulfed homes and stranded millions. China, Thailand and Cambodia not spared either, with pandemic-battered communities facing further woes. La Nina triggered heavy rain in Australia, lashing the country's east. But Pakistan saw Asia's worst calamity in decades. Record monsoon rains and melting glaciers submerged 2/3 of the country, killing at least 1,400 people. The Prime Minister called his nation ground zero of climate change. With rising global temperatures, experts say the monsoon is becoming more variable, and climate crisis preparedness, mitigation and adaptation measures must be implemented to brace for the next big disaster and save lives.
And for more, we have Hang Thi Thanh Pham joining us. She's the Senior Resilience Officer of the Food and Agriculture Organization. Ms. Pham, we just heard that we need to see implementation of adaptation and mitigation measures. But before we get to implementation, we need to get the money to have these things. If we look at COP27, we saw some progress on loss and damage, but very little progress on the $100 billion fund promised in 2009 exactly for adaptation and mitigation.
Yes, that's true. The COP27 see the progress in issuing the loss and damage funding arrangements. But the challenges are ahead of us, like looking at the 2022 floods. The Pakistan flood alone costed us more than 30 billion, while 100 natural hazards in 2021 cost us 35 billion. So with this increasing loss and damage, the commitment for financing needs to be accelerated. And countries also need to be ready for that. Many countries don't even have the system in place to collect the loss and damage data and really account for losses due to disasters, particularly in the agriculture sectors.
All right. Lots of things that we need to do and need to have in place. But if we look at $100 billion, we're not getting that even now. And projections are at least $215 billion for flood risks, just for flood risks in South Asia, developing countries in South Asia by 2030. Likely you are not going to be getting even a fraction of that. Now, in the FAO, I presume you are already taking on measures, not looking for any kind of foreign assistance, but within countries. What can you do, given what resources you do have?
We are doing both. On the one hand, we are really helping member countries access to climate finance. And that is to do a lot with increasing the capacity of the countries to understand the risk, articulate the risks and vulnerabilities, particularly in the agriculture sectors, and really come up with a solution that are cost effective. On the other hand, we are working with the countries on the measures that have proven cost effectiveness and can save life and livelihood in disasters such as floods. So let me give you a few examples, immediate examples. First thing, it's early warning. Now, advances in technologies have allowed us to do longer term and more accurate forecasts. But the forecast needs to go beyond just how the weather look like. It needs to also tell the communities what would be the impacts. And there comes the information on exposure to floods, vulnerability, the past disaster losses, and therefore communities can see, this is what is going to happen, and this is going to prompt my action. Second thing, it's really acting early. Before disaster happen, in anticipations of all of this impact, not wait until the disaster hits and act, because that is too late. And in FAO, we call it anticipatory actions. In some other, they call it forecast-based financing or early warning, early action, but they are all the same. They are promoting forecast, early warning, and act ahead of the disasters. And our return of investment has proven that it is possible and effective. Every single dollar investing in anticipatory actions could bring $7 benefits and avoided losses. And we have proven it for slow onset disasters like drought, and now working to prove the concept for sudden onset disasters like flood and landslide.
All right, Ms. Pham,
So
pardon me for cutting it, because I do need to sum up what you've just said. So, for example, what you've just said, early warning systems, anticipation, these things are relatively, as you mentioned, cost effective. All you need is localized systems where we look at what we have and we put that information together. So this is cost effective. Is there a way to expand this so that you have a template for any country in developing country in South Asia requiring this kind of assistance? Final question here.
Yes, we have been doing it in countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Laos, Vietnam, Philippines. Prove the concept and bring that into the system of disaster risk management, but also bringing other sectors like social protections to deliver the anticipatory actions. And now, for example, with ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, we are replicating the approach in other countries in Southeast Asia.
Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Hang Thi Thanh Pham, Senior Resilience Officer of the Food and Agriculture Organization from Hanoi.